Welcome to Talking in Stations. It is March 29th. Today we're going to go over some action happening in Helm's Deep area of Delve. We have the system, which is one of the main systems of the group TNT, Tactical Narcotics Team. And they have a ton of structures, 10 or more, that are being destroyed at this moment. We'll watch that as we do the news broadcast today. You're looking at the Keepstar in the system of 8, what was it? 8J.
8RQJ. 8 Romeo Quebec Juliet.
Thank you. And that is one of the last systems in Helm's Deep, the bottom left corner on Dotland. We can have a look at that in a minute. I'm here with Rich. How's it going, Rich?
Hello.
And we have also off camera, the person providing you the actual camera is Abby Rova. How you doing, Abby?
I'm good, thanks, Matterall. How are you?
Good. And also in here is Gregorian. How are you doing, Gregorian?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. Okay, let's get started. First thing I want to do is, again, let you know that we're going to be watching action from Delve here at Helm's Deep. That Keepstar goes out in, what do we have here, Abby, like 40 minutes?
25.
25. Okay, so by the time we're wrapping up the show, this thing will go under attack. We'll stick around until it is destroyed. And let's take a look. Oh, there's something very important that we wanted to say at the beginning, right, Rich?
Yes, in regards to the recent passing of a CEO of Fraternity.
Right, one of their CEOs, a young man, passed away unexpectedly. And so we give our condolences to Fraternity. You may have seen that they sacrificed a Ragnarok, I think it was, of some kind of a Titan to be destroyed as in a remembrance of the person. They had, I believe, a couple of wakes or lightings. And so tragic, way too early. We talked to Noros earlier today. We didn't mention it at the beginning, so we're mentioning it now. Our condolences to Fraternity, to that corporation, and to everybody involved. Okay, let's start with some activity yesterday in Amatar, in Lantorn. There was a huge attack between Snuff and Wrecking Crew. They were locked into a fight, I believe, at the time that we were doing the recording for Talking in Stations, the weekly report. And how did that turn out, Gregorian?
Well, I'm looking at the battle report right now, and it looks like it went better for Snuffed Out than it went for RC. Over 100 capital ships were destroyed in this fight.
Yeah, well, what was the bill total?
Looks like in total it was nearly 500 billion.
Yeah, that's a heck of a fight. It looks like Titans really mixed it up with Dreadnoughts.
Yeah.
Saw wave after wave. Go ahead and
Snuffed Out's Titans were that looked like they were one of the decisive advantages because the other side did not bring Titans of their own.
Go on.
And Dreadnoughts can trade really well against small numbers of Titans, but once you get into large numbers of capital ships, large numbers of Titans, the Dreadnoughts aren't going to trade as well against them.
Right. All right. Do you have anything else to report on that?
Well, Lantorn is the usual system that Snuffed Out sets up in when they deploy to this part of the map. I've heard that a couple, in addition to this deployment, which in many ways is because they're home area of Blackrise isn't doing as well as it had been. I have, however, heard that some elements of Wrecking Crew, such as the Corporation Reikoku, have been active striking at snuffed out aligned stuff in Blackrise.
Yeah. As you can see, this is the very popular area here in Hamatar. Let me get that centered for you.
Yeah, it's close to Amamake, which is traditionally one of the big iconic low-sec systems.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Tama of that region, isn't it?
Yep. Here's Damelin. There's where I'm hanging out with the Dam fam. But down here is very dangerous waters. You have Amamaki, Secede. We saw some action there. And here Lantorn. So we've seen stuff happen in Dahl. And so this area here, this triangle, is extremely dangerous. A lot of activity and really big assets being put on the line there with Titans and Dreadnoughts.
I believe Jonas Peserad of Snuffed Out posted a battle report on Reddit. He stated that I believe this battle was actually something they alarm clocked based on a video he's recently released. Once the Dreads were on grid, they logged theirs in, jumped in, and began the Dread Brawl. As soon as they realized they were getting an advantage and the Dread Brawl was turning to their favor, they undocked Supers and Titans and logged in to clear up the battle.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, so right now, LowSec is having its own... It's basically coalesced into two coalitions and is fighting each other, kind of like how Nullsec is. On one side, you have Snuffed Out and their friends, which are usually, well, whatever Baltrum's group is calling itself these days. Hard Knocks sometimes shows up as well, and a few others. And then a lot of different low-sec groups, like Wrecking Crew, Dock Workers, Siege Green, all on the other side.
It appears in this case it was mostly Snuffed Out that participated in this battle. They had a few a bit of help from friends in Verge of Collapse and Ivana, but from what I've seen, it was mostly their group in this battle. They've released an official video on their YouTube channel, and I believe Jonas has also released a video as well on one of the Reddit threads.
Oh, jeez. This is hard to watch. It's got things all over things all over things. All right. Well, send us a video that we can actually look at and see what happens next time. All right. So that's low-sec. These big fights going on there, 500 billion in ISK. And that's only going to go up because a lot of those were capitals, and we expect those things to get a lot more expensive in the near future. So that's going to end up being a much bigger bill if it happens again after industry changes kick in. Okay. What else we got? Rich, let's talk about what are we calling this thing that we talked about with Naros earlier today?
I'd like to call it the Safe Conduct Pass, or Safe Conduct Sino.
Okay. Can you explain what it is? And actually, let's go to that view. All right, go ahead.
On Monday, very early on Monday, official release was given out, and that is Noraus and the rest of the leaders of PAPI have set up a safe conduct pass for anybody wishing to leave the war zone on the side of the Imperium. By contacting either Noraus, Headliner, Lady Scarlet, Vili, RDMR, or Jack Schema, you should be able to set up if you pass the background check, they will set up a way for you to move Super Capital, and other similar assets out of 1DQ and far, far away from the battlefield in safety. Of course, this means you are if you are a member of the Imperium, which this offer is given to, this offer you have to, well, put your trust in these individuals. Noras earlier today has confirmed this offer is legitimate. It is not a scam and not a hoax, and they are not charging anything for it. As long as you follow their instructions, they will they will leave you and your assets far away from the battlefield. But there are some consequences if you take this offer.
What are those consequences?
Due to the Imperium policy on exporting supercapital assets, if you are to leave, there is a strong possibility that you may face blacklisting from the Imperium. I believe they do have an official service which allows you to liquidate supercapital assets of your own through them officially, but if you have any attachment to your supercapitals, such as Titans or Supers, and you wish to take them out, you may face blacklisting. Due to the nature of what's currently going on with the war and choosing to leave at such a critical moment, you may also face social stigma and be labelled anything ranging from a traitor, as a coward, or a backstabber, or anything like this. In addition, after you depart, from what I'm reading here, there isn't any obligations on what you have to do or what you don't have to do. I believe Pandemic Horde, Test, and some other groups have set up a system where you can apply for their corps, but keep in mind, if you take this offer, there is a high possibility that you'll be blacklisted from the Imperium.
I see. So this is a come out with your hands up and you can pass, basically.
Yes, this is an opportunity for those who do not wish to stay in the war and they want to get their assets out to get it out early. If 1DQ falls and should the war progress towards the PAPI side's favour, any assets that are not secured will be placed into asset safety. This is an opportunity for people to, if they want to, get their assets out before they have to go through any other risky future procedures, whether by the Imperium or by themselves, or the difficulty of extracting super capital or any other asset from the asset safety system. Could you remind me which asset safety system that is? Ermelin. As far as I'm aware, right now in Ermelin, on grid with the asset safety station, there is a Northern Coalition Keepstar, and there will be groups who will aim to camp in and destroy Imperium assets after the war is over.
Well, any other information? If not, we'll move into analysis of this and talk about what it could mean.
I don't believe there's any other information as of right now. They have a process for this, which involves messaging any of these people. You may have to pass a background check to ensure that, well, your story matches up and you intend on leaving the Imperium and taking your assets out. And then afterwards, they will set up a process where you will be able to take all of your belongings, jump to a Sino, dock in the Keepstar, and you will be required to follow their instructions, which will most likely take you down a Keepstar chain, and you'll be left somewhere far, far away from the war zone and given an opportunity to decide what to do next.
Okay, so and my first question is, has anybody taken them up on his offer?
I believe somebody has mentioned that some Bovril Borers individuals have taken up the offer. There apparently has been a Komodo faction Titan has been moved out, and Noraus, speaking to Noraus today, some people have messaged him looking to take their assets out of the Imperium space.
Yeah, I think in our interview with Naros a few hours earlier, he said there were 3 individuals. Again, we don't know who they are, anything. I said they could be just planted spies, the same thing that people accuse that Brave guy of being when the golden ticket was taken in the M2 situation. Refer back to a few shows on that one. Go to the M2 ones. But he said something interesting. I hadn't thought of it before, but Naro said they could be spies, but they wouldn't be my spies. And I thought, that makes sense, because each of these groups in PAPI has their own set of spies, and nobody knows who's who. So, interesting.
That's correct. But I do also want to tell people that this decision should not be taken lightly. You will be leaving behind a group, and you probably will be labelled some awful things and be accused of being a traitor or being a coward or not willing to fight the war to the end. But I also want to say that there's nothing wrong with putting yourself above the interests of your alliance or your leader. In fact, there's everything right with loving yourself and putting yourself first. So if you don't wish to partake in the war anymore, and you feel that the war is something you don't want to be a part of, and your assets are something that you want to take the opportunity to keep safe, then, well, this offer is open. You are, however, having to trust members of an enemy coalition. But I believe by the time somebody is getting ready to undock and jump to a Sino, I think their decision has already been made in this case.
Yeah, I'm okay. It's my voice slipping. Okay, sorry. So what do you think of this on the analysis side of things? So this is the offer. We confirmed that it's real. They made a public statement about it. M2 had a similar offer when Imperium said, "Hey, you want to save your Titan? Sell it to us. You can get out. We'll pay you for it. Of course, we'll pay you a fraction of what it's worth, but we will pay you for it." And then they had a silver ticket, which was the same thing, only a little bit later, and I think for super capitals instead of just Titans. So the idea is we want to take your Titan and we'll let you out. That was the golden ticket thing. In this one, it's we don't want to fight you. Our fight's not with you. Our fight is with your leadership. So you can take off and you can take your stuff and it's free. So the offers are a little bit different. What do you think of that?
This is a deliberate attempt to see which individuals in the Imperium are not 100% focused and involved in the war. It's an attempt to find out which ones may have their own interests at heart and may wish to depart from the war. This is 100% an attempt to potentially bring out as many super capitals away from 1DQ as possible and send them far, far away from the battlefield where they will no longer be of any influence in any upcoming battles. This not only makes the fight easier for the PAPI side, but also because it makes it easier in the event of a confrontation, but also it makes them, they don't have to account for them. To kill each super requires dreads and resources, and for each one that they can convince to leave like this, then there's a lot less resources and a lot less effort they'll have to expend in the future.
Thank you, Rich, for that report. I have a few words on this, and that is, it's very simple. The PAPI doesn't want your Titan. They don't need your Titan. They have enough of their own. What they want is to lessen the population of 1DQ because they can't fight the server. And if everybody stays in 1DQ and shows up every time there is some kind of a red alert, it's going to be difficult to move enough people in order to fight this. I've heard some strategies that are very interesting if that does happen, but the ideal would be to lessen the population in 1DQ in order to actually have a fight if they need to do that. And they do in order to siege it. So that's interesting. On the other side of it, if you're on the Imperium, you need to keep your people together because your people and those Titans together are your influence. That's your power base. It's not the territory, as we've seen, and we're going to see as territory gets taken up, as structures get destroyed. That's not actually what is important or influential about the Imperium. It is the people and those super capitals that they can put on the field. That's the power base.
We spoke to Noraus earlier today, and he's spoken about, with the upcoming industry changes, he predicts that supercarriers will massively rise in price, as will Titans. I believe he's expecting them to rise well over 50 billion per supercarrier, and well over 150 billion per Titan. With this in mind, people who do not wish to take the opportunity to extract it and instead leave their supercapital assets into asset safety may face danger in the future because The cost of removing assets from asset safety is calculated on the day you attempt to remove it. Should these super capital assets rise to price in the future and you attempt to cash it out, if you could afford it now, you may not afford it in the future.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. The idea that a Titan is worth 240 billion may be correct with the pricing as it is now. We'll just use that as a comparison to the 120 it is to build right now. That's basically doubling the cost of a Titan, putting it out of reach for most players. But the reality is, you can still buy a Titan for 80 to 90 billion. So what gives? They're worth 120 now. They're going to be worth 240. Why are they being sold for 90, 100 billion right now? And the idea is there's still so many Titans out there that gameplay is no longer reachable, right? Because you're either fighting in this war here or you're a part of Snuff. But going alone or going with a small group in your Titan has always been a big risk. So people tend to gravitate towards each other. That's why a lot of people are in the Imperium, in my opinion. They've gone there because they can actually build their super capital they always wanted, and they can actually use it because it's part of a big, safe group. People who gravitate towards NC Dot do it for the same reason. It's a smaller group, but it's the same concept. I have a Titan. I don't want to lose it. How do I keep from losing it? I know. I'll join the wolves. And so those opportunities, though, are going to get smaller and smaller, and they take a lot out of you. That you have to play a different game style, unless that's exactly what you want to do. So I think a lot of people are looking at the writing on the board and saying, this thing may be worth a lot in the future, but I want to get out of it now. Like, I want to get out of that gameplay. And in a weird way, I may be wrong about this, but I kind of feel like this is death to supers. We've always thought, like, yeah, death to supers, just nerf them into the ground. Noros even says, like, they should be nerfed into the ground, then people will give them up. But I actually think they've capped the number of supers in this game, theoretically, without putting a hard cap on the number of supers in this game. You make them so expensive to build that nobody's ever going to get their money back if they build one, so they're not going to build one. And then,
as of right now, I don't think anybody's building them. I've heard of people complaining that they're super capital BPOs, Blueprint Originals, and the copies that they make out of them, they can't offload them. They can't find a way to sell these Blueprint copies because nobody's building the super capitals.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. So if you cap the new ones that are being made, for a long time, nobody's going to buy it, so you're not going to profit from it. You might build it for yourself, but you're not going to profit from it. But for a long time, that means we have a world of finite super capitals, and those are going to become, over time, I assume, more and more valuable as they start to die off. Eventually, at some point, they will become valuable enough to meet their construction cost. But that's a long way off. That's at least 1.5 to 3 years off, I think. So,
well, somebody's going to have to give eventually. Somebody's eventually going to say, once all the super capitals are bought up and nobody's selling them, eventually somebody has to start building them if the price and demand is high enough.
Yeah. All right, I think we have just a few minutes on that timer. We'll start watching it now as we continue. I think it's a very interesting. We're just starting to get a look at how significant these industrial changes are. So
I think the safe conduct pass, the safe conduct signer offer, the timing is very auspicious at this point.
That's true.
And of course, as many ancient military strategists have said, you don't want to corner an army, and in this case, they want to let the people who want to escape. Of course, I wanted to emphasize on the fact that for those who wish to leave, it is your choice to do so. And you take this choice knowing the risks. You take this choice knowing that this could be a hoax, even though these leaders have sworn that it's not. And you take the risk that you may face consequences for doing this. But if you if you feel that the risks are worth it, and you have the ability to get into another group, and you don't fear the consequences, and there's no other alternatives, then you may feel this is justified to do so. And you may wish to take up this offer. But the offer as of right now is here. I have no idea how long this offer will last. But if you wish to evacuate your super capital assets, I believe Noras has said if you have carriers, he'll be able to sino you onto a Fortizar. If you have super capitals, he'll be able to sino you onto a Keepstar. And if you have raw cores, he'll be able to sino it onto, well, just a regular Fortizar should be able to dock there.
Yeah.
If you have multiples of these, you probably wish to tell him that and see what he can arrange to help you get these assets out.
Well, it is so interesting because, and again, we're looking at it from a military perspective. You've surrounded a town, basically. You're starting to destroy all the buildings on the outskirts. Everybody's downtown at this point. You're islanding it off. And now you're saying, if you want to get out, we'll let you out. If you're a civilian, not a military guy, then you can pass with everything. And that happens at a time when all their stuff just went up in value. If they have a bunch of stuff that's transportable, or especially these super capital ships and capital ships. Now, the alternative is, I imagine, you want to leave, but you don't want to leave on a bad note. So you could sell your Titan to Goonswarm or the Imperium and keep it in the family, so to speak. So somebody else could use it. Maybe not you, but somebody else. And I would imagine that would be a counter offer if the Imperium were seeing a number of people leaving. They may say like, okay, you can go, but leave that here. We need that. That might be interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to say now
Sure,
the
Abby.
timer's just come out.
All right.
We can start to see fighters moving down.
Yeah, I always like this. To me, this looks very otherworldly, almost like a cloud. You see the cloud of fighters there? The concentration you see at the top left is actually a Fortizar, and those are super carriers and carriers around there. And what
And
they
Titans.
do, and Titans, and they release, I'm thinking of the super carriers and carriers in this example, they release fighters. And so the fighters start to move slowly towards the intended target. They will eventually surround that target, that is a space station that you're looking at, and fire upon it until it is destroyed. But it does feel weird, almost like tentacles coming out from an octopus or something, and it's kind of beautiful whenever it happens. It's interesting. And
I remember during the early stages of the Fountain campaign that it was compared as a Christmas tree or a cloud sprinkling down snowflakes of death.
Yeah, at the top, right? When they're at the top, it looks like it's snowing. At the top of this one, though, you have Titans, and those are firing, and those are on the right as well. So you have two groups of Titans firing on the Keepstar as well. That'll help it get make this thing go a little faster. Normally it's about 30 minutes due to damage cap, but I think with everybody firing on it, the damage cap is actually quite great. I think the damage cap is 10,000 to 100,000. Is that what it is? Something like that. Anyway, it's like a big range of difference. But the Titans will help it to be destroyed sooner, up to a certain point where the damage cap kicks in. So I think we should see this probably destroyed in less than about 15 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. That's 12 to 15 is what they've been doing, I think.
I got 100 Titans on my D-scan.
Yeah, and that is probably just a third of what's available to PAPI. We've seen that they have at least 300 Titans. Now, they had a lot of losses in the last 2 months, so we don't know where their numbers are. They won't tell us, and we haven't seen any kind of display. Like before M2 even, we saw a lot of displays of power, which were everybody get in, everybody get on the field, show your presence, and we had 2 almost fights, or 3. So we could see kind of the scale of what we were looking at, and it was clearly over 300 Titans on either side. All right. Well, my friend is one of the guys from TNT, so my condolences to your old system here. He and his friends in TNT evacuated this place a while ago, a few days ago, or a week ago. So all their stuff's out. They are still putting up a fight, or were yesterday, I believe, and probably today. So you might see some casualties on the other side. But this is one of 2 systems, I believe, that they had. And for them, this was a big moneymaker for a long time. I believe they had set this up. We're talking multiple structures all doing different things, like building stuff, mining, refining, and all this kind of stuff for the better part of 3 years. Actually, more like 4.
Every moon has an Athanor on it in here.
Yeah, that's a lot of moon mining. So it served its purpose well. It looks like a lot of fortune is being destroyed, but these means of production here were already written off, and they certainly got their use out of this. The leader of TNT is Wibla. I think you can see him in Talking in Stations Discord. He's usually very chatty in there. I think this is a pretty big moment. I'm going to agree with Dantimundo. Yeah, it's quite a moment. Because this is really, like 1DQ is the home of Goonswarm, and it is the capital of this entire Imperium Empire. And it is definitely not falling anytime soon. But this is one of the few times we're seeing an actual capital for an alliance get destroyed. And we may not be this. It may not be specifically this one, but that is a keep star. It is their keep star, and this was their home. This is where they did a lot of industry and that sort of thing. So, I think for all accounts and purposes, it would be fair to say that this was their home or part of their home, and no more. It's been abandoned, and now it's being demolished. The system again. Can you read out that system?
8 or QJ TAC 2.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it in a way that's, we'll try not to miss the explosion, but let's have a look at .lan. So if we move over to Delve, I'll go ahead and start with a universal so you can see where we are on the map. Bottom left here in Delve. On this map, this area here is considered Helm's Deep, we call it, or actually we don't call it that, but it was called that by the Imperium, and so we still use it. And this one is the bottom corner here, right there. I'll go ahead and light it up for you so you can see it. And that's where the action is that you're seeing right now. TNT is the owner of that, and there it is, circled in black. This area here, 39P was actually Karma Fleet's capital, but Karma Fleet is a corporation inside of Goonswarm. It's not a separate alliance, so it's not really the same thing. What we're seeing is an actual alliance and its home. There was a lot of construction of capitals and super capitals in 39P.
Nigel, you may wish to click on your stream to focus on it.
Oh boy, sorry. Yes, you're right. There we go. And sorry about that. So I'll do that one more time just to make sure you guys can see everything. Here's the galactic southwest going into Delve. At the top of Delve on the left-hand side, this whole area here is Helm's Deep. So starting here, and then everything behind it. And way down here in the bottom left corner, I'll highlight it for you, is 8RQ. There it is. Not the red one, but this black one that's highlighted. All right, hello guys. All right, so that's the area being attacked.
I can understand why they set this up as a headquarters system. It's a good little pocket at the end of that long Helm's Deep chain, right?
Yeah, why do you like it? The dead end nature of it?
Yeah. I mean, if you're in there and you've got all these almost 90 moon mining, you know, you're gonna get a long heads up from intel channels. Someone tries to come hunt you and kill you.
Yeah, it's only one way in. You know what other system is like that with one way in? BTAC-R. BTAC-R 5RB used to be a mining system, but it turned into a great battle zone unexpectedly.
Is that a dead end? I've actually been there. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, BTAC-R is a dead end. I'll show you since we have a minute. Tell me how much is left on that
Oh yeah, no, we got time. It's
Okay.
about not even half yet.
In Imensia, which is the galactic south, basically. Atakar is the top left of the map. Let's see. Funny enough, that station was destroyed, about a month to 2 months ago by Dread Bomb. We covered it live, and you can see it on one of our shows. But that station there that had been there a long time, right? The NPC stations were not things that blew up; they were things that got conquered. But they always existed for years and years and years. Well, when Citadels came around, and then finally when NPC stations in Delve, or what they're called outposts or player-owned stations, where those were turned into fortizars, then they could be destroyed. But people kind of left them around because they were valuable in place, but not when you're coming in and invading. That was destroyed by Dread Bomb. Fed up were the owners. There wasn't any successful negotiating over it, so it was just destroyed, along with my stuff that was all in there. So all that went to asset safety. I am no longer in B-Tech-R.
You had stuff in there?
Yeah, I used to live in that system when the big fight broke out. I woke up in the morning, walked outside to get the morning paper, and there were Titans fighting each other. I was like, what's going on?
No, come on, that was years ago. You have plenty of time to move your stuff.
Yeah, it's true. I just left it all there. You know why? Because it was an Orca and mining ships and that sort of thing. So I wasn't about to fly those anywhere. I built it in place, so I didn't mind leaving it there. It was always meant to just live there.
As this war progresses, and I like to bring up that for this offer, jump freighters are not going to be permitted.
Oh.
By Noraus's, unless there's very specific circumstances, he's not going to permit you to bring a jump freighter with your items out of 1DQ. I believe this offer is mainly for super capitals, but under rare or exceptional circumstances, I believe he'll let people wishing to take their assets out to take out capitals and raw cores. But jump freighters, I'm afraid not.
Well, that's an interesting twist. So it's not that you can move your stuff out, it's you can only move your super capitals.
I'm sure that if you have a super capital, and you have other belongings, you should be able to pack everything into the super capital and, take your life belongings out of 1DQ with you. Based on your request, they'll be able to take you down, quite far away. Taking you away from the battlefield and away from Delve, far away from Delve, is probably non-negotiable.
Go ahead, Abby.
But
hold on.
No. Vili just said jump freighters are fine as long as it's one way.
Oh, okay, one way. Thank you for clarifying, Vili. That should clarify what Noraus said before. Jump freighters are one way only. Pack your most valuable belongings and most valuable based on how you decide it, and you should be able to go.
Yeah, Vili, you have an invitation to come in this channel and talk about this if you want to talk about it. We want to get clear on it. You're welcome to. You don't have to, of course.
The Keep Star chain can take you. Taking you far away from the battlefield is probably non-negotiable, but the destination you might be able to negotiate. They're willing to take you into, say, low stack down the Keep Star chain if you desire.
Vili's answer was running a Titan fleet and subcap fleet at the moment, maybe later. Okay, so
you can only dual box, you can't triple box.
We understand where we rate. Yeah, weakling can't do everything at once. No, he's probably out there actually shooting this thing. That's very funny, actually. I also want to point out that Elise Randolph is still Habit Gaming on Twitch. He is CCP Swift now. You saw him today earlier. And he said when we were talking about BTAC-R, his stuff was in there too, because that was the headquarters of Pandemic Legion, who he was in charge of for a very long time. So I thought that was pretty funny. Speaking of CCP Swift, aka Elise Randolph, we'll keep doing that for a while till everybody gets used to Swift. He had a great session today with Kenneth Feld and our own Kenneth Feld, our own Dr. Spod. And from the CCP side of things, he had CCP Rotati and CCP Psych, I believe. These are the ecosystem guys with a couple players. And they talked about the industry changes and answered questions and, managed the aggro as it was coming in. And they did that for like an hour and a half earlier this morning. You can catch that on CCP Twitch, the videos section. And also earlier this morning, I want to also plug, we did a great interview with Noros, who to me is a very interesting leader out there. And we did about an hour. I thought it was very interesting. We went about 5 or 6 different subjects, and we tackled the hard ones too. We talked about what this war looks like, their relationship to the other groups that are there involved with PAPI. We talked about their interests. Of course, we hit the main topic, which was the industry changes and what his calculations were about what things would cost later. And they roughly matched up with the Imperium's projections as far as some of the numbers they were talking about. So we're starting to have a little more confidence with those numbers. We also talked about, again, the hard subjects, the botting criticism and how he handles that. Also, the diplomacy that he's involved with, not only with Poshven and in LowSec and putting down a Keepstar in LowSec, but how is he handling the relationship of working with PAPI at the same time being I don't even know if it's but being enemies to Army of Mango, who's also part of Legacy, which means they're also part of PAPI, since there's some cloaky camping involved. One of the things I didn't appreciate during the interview was just how interested he was in the anti-cloaking camping module, or whatever it is it's coming out, tool, I guess is the right thing. Do we have any further information on that device or that tool for?
No. CCP Rotati mentioned it would be oh god, let me try and find my notes.
There were some adjectives put out, but it was still not any clearer.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it.
What was noted is Norris actually had recently invested quite a lot on a new set of cloaky camping alts and a new set of new ships and equipment for a cloaky camping team. Unfortunately, this tool might disrupt its operations.
Yeah, and we had heard, TIS had heard sources reporting of fraternity-aligned cloaky camping in that area earlier, so it's interesting that Noros confirmed it.
I believe he's also got cloaky camping, he was planning on deploying cloaky camping somewhere up north due to some members of the Imperium renting from an alliance up there, and he's wishing to, clear them out.
I'm punting on that one. Xavier 1984 asked, do structure destructions get counted on the economic reports or destroyed materials? My guess is yes, but I punted to Habit Gaming, again, CCP Swift, see if he can answer that. Or see if chat can answer that. That's right. Pakven is Poshven. Or Pochven. I don't know how you say it. I think I need to consult someone, a linguist. Yeah. All right. So CCP Swift will get an answer on that. His assumption is the same as mine, that it does count in destroyed items. I can't see why it wouldn't, but it depends on how they get their data, because stations aren't really made out of minerals. By the way, industrial changes, if you have not looked into that, are incredibly interesting and just expansive, really. I would start to listen to some of the incredible amount of content that has been put out on this from our channel, from CCP's channel, from INN's channel, and of course from the other channels as well. There's a lot to kind of get your head around. The numbers aren't really attached, but the theory is all there that if you were building something before, it's going to become a lot more expansive. So where you used to just grab a bucket full of minerals, throw them into a ship, and bake it until it was done, that's going to change for some ships, most ships really. You're going to have to get all kinds of different minerals that you didn't have to get before. Sorry, all kinds of different ingredients that you didn't have to before. Which means that if you were fully verticalized, which means that you were the one that mined the minerals, you're the one that refined the minerals, you're the one that used those minerals with the blueprint to build the ship, and then you got the ship and you sold it, you had the whole vertical nailed down. That's going to be a lot harder now. Not only because you're going to have 4 or 5 different types of ingredients to build a ship, but each one of those is going to require blueprints, or not all of them, but some of them are going to require blueprints that you'll have to make. So there's a lot more sub-steps. So it's not just a matter of mining and refining. It's a matter of doing a lot of sub-component building before you're able to actually build the ship itself. And the skill requirements to building ships has changed too. So it's going to be steep. You're going to have to specialize. And that's a great thing. If you're an industrialist and you want to specialize, it's a great time to stick with it.
All right. We're just getting down to the
at?
last 20% here with this.
All right. Well, if you can take it, that'd be great, because apparently my voice is giving out. So this happens when I talk too much.
Go get yourself a nice refreshing beverage before the explosion.
I'm going to step out for a second. I'm going to do just that. Rich, go ahead and take over if you can. Sorry to put you in that position.
Sure, that's fine. For people wondering whether or not they should cash out their supers or titans, supercarriers or titans at this critical stage, I do wish to inform you of an observation I made. There are quite a few number of people who are currently purchasing super capitals and titans in the trade channels, but a lack of them selling them. With the production and industrial changes in mind, it is probably a better idea to hold onto super capital assets right now, because should you sell them and should you cash out, either through markets within your own alliance and groups or elsewhere, you may not be able to afford to buy another one back. Now, if you choose to cash it out now and such, you may walk out with a lot of money, and if you choose not to ever get involved in super capitals, this may benefit you. But should you wish to cash out and replace it, you may find some difficulty getting another one back. So please do keep this in mind. Due to the industrial changes, Noras is expecting these to go up over time, so your super capitals will most likely gain value over time.
That's a very good point. It happened to a friend of mine recently. He took a break and sold his Orca before he took a break and came back, and he had to buy a new one at about a 40% increase in what he sold his last one for. And due to the scarcity changes and everything. And I don't think the current price estimates people are throwing around for super capitals will be where they end up landing, but it might be close. They might not be 200% of where they are now, but they might end up being 150. Yeah, Lavacano just asked there in chat, what day does it hit? Right now it's going to look like it's going to hit in 2 phases. And all we know is kind of roughly the middle of April, so maybe the 2nd or 3rd week of April. I imagine that's for the first phase, and the second phase maybe 2 weeks or a month or 6 weeks afterwards maybe.
So, Rich, I have a question for you as someone who's not involved in the war.
Sure.
How trustworthy does the offer seem to you?
I there are a lot of individuals, a lot of high-ranking individuals who have a long and reputable history throughout EVE Online. Lady Scarlet has been involved in EVE for quite a long time, and she's noted in a lot of different reports and discussions that she's generally very pleasant to deal with and is very trustable. For these individuals, all of them, all of these coalition leaders, alliance leaders, I believe Noras gave us the number of 10 of them, to put their reputation on the lines, to put this offer forward, is one thing in particular. But also to keep in mind, they want to extract as many super capital assets away from Delve and 1DQ as possible. In the event that this is a hoax and a scam, they may be able to get 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 or so people to jump to them and kill them if it were a hoax, and afterwards nobody else would take the offer. And these people who would have taken the offer will use their super capitals in Delve in a final stand. To me, to set this all up, to ruin their reputation, just to score a mere few super capital kills and then risk even more super capitals staying in Delve and potentially causing a frustration for them, I feel the making this elaborate of a hoax, a ruse, and to lie about it, it's not worth doing. It's
The Keepstar should be going any minute now.
All right, damage cap is 75,000 DPS. So that's damage per second.
so Gregorian. With those things in mind, one should keep in mind the consequences and how they wish to approach it. I believe the consequences of them betraying people and lying about this and making this a hoax it's just not worth it, in my opinion. I think when Norav said this was a real offer, it is indeed a genuine and real offer. It does have consequences if you take it, but it is real, and should you take it, they will hold up their end of the promise, and they will take your super capital to safety in a faraway location where you can choose what to do next.
We're not endorsing it. You know, they might drag you off.
But I'm not definitely not endorsing it. It's them. They have offered this. I'm telling you, this is how I view things.
I mean, who knows if they walk you away from the battle and then, you know, shoot you out back behind the library. I think if word got around that they were doing that, it would be a much bigger sacrifice. I think we were talking to Noros earlier today.
Titan's going.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's starting to light up. You see the small explosions. Titans are starting to warp out. You see those things warping out? That's so cool. They're warping right through it. I'm going to salute that for my friend, the TNT executive here. And it served them well. Again, made them a lot of money. It's actually, you know, Abby, that's one of the neater explosions I've seen, because just the way those things, yeah, that was pretty cool.
The way they were silhouetted, yeah, it was lovely, wasn't it?
Yeah. I know you're a little self-conscious about your ability to be cam operator, but you did great.
Hey, I'm no Ron yet. Ron or Sully.
Sully, yeah. Ron's amazing. Sully too.
Actually, Ron is streaming right now. He's probably
cool.
here having great fun.
Yeah. We'll rate him in a second just to let people come to
coverage. Looks like Ashtarothi posted something interesting on Twitter that apparently Old Man Star is getting a unique gate to reflect its special lore origins.
Oh, that is really cool, because that's where Old Man Star, I think, is part of the origin story of gates, how they were invented. And it's a pretty eerie story where somebody gets trapped on the other side of a system that doesn't have a gate. But in that story, you'll find out why gates are where they are and what makes them special. So we'll cover that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Ashtarothi will be here tomorrow to talk all about that. All right. I think that's it. Do we have anything else, guys?
this amazing Titan ball on the fort. That's them all jumping out now.
How do I stop watching? All right, I can't shut it off, so we'll just leave it there. All right, Rich, you have anything else?
Do I have anything else? Yes, it was mentioned that this offer is a way to damage the morale of the Imperium. Yes, it is indeed. It's a double-edged sword, but it is indeed a way of attacking Imperium morale, and in order to find out which of the members have their own personal motivations to leave. It is absolutely a psyops way of damaging morale and pulling people away from this war.
I think it has more practical. Okay, so when the Imperium, this is analysis, the Imperium, when they put out their here's the golden ticket, that was hilarious. It was clever, and it was an interesting thing, as Elise pointed out. Like, do you take the ticket? Will anybody ever know if you took the ticket? Now, anybody that escapes, you don't know if they escaped because they paid their way out or if they actually just legitimately escaped. So it was really an interesting move psychologically, but it was a little bit memey in that it was making fun of the people. And so who would take that seriously? And that was one of the things that we also talked about that could have worked against the actual idea. Maybe they thought nobody would actually ever do it. And so who knows? But I think, and that is the way that Mittani works. For instance, I'll give you a personal example. I had a Keepstar in Onanen, as people know, and the Keepstar came under attack by the Imperium. So we negotiated. And in those negotiations, he said, well, you could do this or you could do that, or we could take the comedy route and you could just sell it to me. And because I was part of NC. And so his way of, it was like, we could just do this the funny way. So that's always in the cards with him. There's like, there's one way, another way, and then there's a comedy way and stuff. And so that's one of the charms of Goon Swarms. They're funny, they're, quick-witted and all that other stuff. So I think the golden ticket idea had that humor with it, but it also may have worked against them in a more serious setting where people may have wanted to get their super out. Maybe it was just never going to happen. Who knows? They say that at least 2 people got out that way, though. In this case, it's a much more serious offer with less humor attached to it, with less memeing and stuff. Go ahead, Rich.
Unfortunately, humor or no humor, serious or no serious, anybody who takes this, don't take this decision lightly. Think about it. Think about the consequences. Even if the leaders are being serious about this and they're not beaming about this or not joking about this, people may look at you differently because of this. And the groups that you leave behind, you may not be able to rejoin them as a result of this. So this is not a light decision. This is a decision that could potentially affect what you do in the future of Eve.
Yeah, it's the thing is, I don't think there's anybody that's hardcore Goon Swarm or Imperium or in that core of people who are really tightly a part of the team. I don't think any of those guys are going anywhere, and maybe nobody goes anywhere. I think this offer is meant for people who are hanging around for the money making, because this is the overall theory that PAPI has, that a lot of Goon Swarm and Imperium people essentially were there because it was a good place to get safe money making opportunities. So when those go away, you don't necessarily want to corner those people. You want to give them a way out. Again, these are not necessarily the tightest loyalists. These are people who were there for the opportunities. Do they want to take their money and run? I think that's an interesting calculation that PAPI's put forward. Like, let's give these guys an exit, and they can take their money and they can go. We won't tax them. We won't humiliate them. They can just go. And that's a pretty effective. That's a pretty effective offer, probably for some people. We'll see. Maybe nobody takes it. Maybe the only people left are the 3,000 fighters. I'm throwing that number out. I don't know what it is right now, but at one point I think it was 4,500, and I think it's gone down quite a bit, but I don't know where it's at right now. But I'm just going to say, 3,000 people fighting on the Imperium side. Maybe all of them are there for the whole thing, and maybe none of them leave. But I think it's a good move. It's a shrewd move, It was a shrewd move when Imperium did it. It's a shrewd move when PAPI's doing it. Different tone. We'll see if that works, and different situation, and actually different deal. Okay,
same shrewd move though.
Same. Last thing we'll look at here is we're looking back at the system of, I gotta memorize this one. 8RQJ TAC2. Again, this is a former home, I think we can call it, of TNT. Well, they may still own it, I don't know, but their structure is being destroyed. This is really a lot of damage being done to an alliance. Of course, they made their money and went, and they're fine, and they'll be fine. But really, like, we're taking out here, looking at what we're looking at is the PAPI taking out a ton of structures, 10 or more today, really kind of just wiping the place out. And that's what's going on all over Delve over the last few days, and probably for the next few weeks, is more or less demolitions, as the Imperium is not really able to counterattack and get the victories. They are counterattacking, they're just not able to get the victories that we've seen. They did get one early on, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention this is a Keepstar in the system. There's almost 90 Athenors in the system they're going to be destroying as well. So this is just one part of this whole demolition.
Okay, thanks, Rich. Abby, thank you for the camera work. Gregorian, thanks for the information on Snuff and Wrecking Crew. And I want to thank everybody for showing up today and watching Talking in Stations. If you didn't see the interview earlier about Noros and his view on some of these changes, I strongly recommend it. It was a very interesting interview. He answered every question I asked, and I asked some pretty tough ones, I think. Also got myself into a little bit of trouble, as you'll see in the video, but we won't talk about that. Okay, for Talking in Stations, thanks very much for watching. We will see you next time on Talking in Stations.